affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon in accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Augusta, Grantsville, Lafayette, Sussex Post Office, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, Star Ledger, and Clerk of the Boroughs of Grantsville, Sussex, and Townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Orange. Mission statement: High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Roll call.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Here.
Mr. Danner.
Here.
Mr. Dunn.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Rowland.
Here.
Mr. Voicu.
Here.
Dr. Ripley.
Here. Okay, under unfinished business, I'd just like to read a quick note under the word unfinished business. It is true that this board convened a special meeting on March 1st and did not devote a portion of the meeting for public comment. This was done in error and was based upon a misunderstanding of the requirements for special meetings, where no public action would be taken. The board is now well aware of the public comment requirements and will be reviewing and revising its bylaws and practices accordingly. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion? Motion. Second. Any discussion?
Who seconded?
Mr. Ancliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes to the regular minutes of February 23rd in executive session of the 23rd, apparently, and abstaining to the special meeting minutes and executive session minutes of March 1st.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Voicu.
Yes. Okay, now I'd like to move to public comments on agenda items only. This will include also the agenda we are looking at tonight regarding the High Point Montague Center receivership. Please state your name and address. Thank you.
You'll get our demo road wattage. First, I wasn't at your meeting, unfinished business. From what I've read in the papers, I understand you left the executive session home. Required by law, come out in public session, close the executive session, and then close the meeting. Therefore, isn't your executive session still continuing? We can never properly close your meeting?
We did, sir, come out of executive session, and we did go into public session, and then we ended the public session. Although we did acknowledge from the statement provided by Mr. Miller that we were in error based upon a misunderstanding, we did actually come out of executive and go into public session and then leave it appropriately.
That's not what I was told by people who were candidates, but fine. Second item I had, not covering the other stuff I have, concerning the Montague situation. I'm a wanted taxpayer. We're sending district to this school. This board is an embarrassment to us. Stop destroying these people's lives. Let them live their lives. Get out of this situation. Throw all your attorneys out, all your legal shenanigans out, throw Mr. Ripley and his crew out, and let's straighten out this board. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. James Marion, Montague. Good evening, members of the board. For the last 3 years, Montague has been a town divided. What began as a search for educational opportunities for our children has transformed into a myriad of emotional, familial, and political conflicts. Many stakeholders from diverse perspectives have weighed in on costs, benefits, rights, and laws governing the educational present and future of our students. In the midst of this send-receive turmoil, I have tried my best to remain neutral, grounded, and open-minded to the many issues and viewpoints surrounding the situation. As a parent, board member, and taxpayer, I understand the emotions that underlie motives and decisions, and have tried my best to keep them in check for the greater good of the district and the children we serve. I have tried to keep separate the personal and political, and have not sought to defame or ostracize others based on their interests or opinions. However, at your last Board of Education meeting, my son unfortunately read a portion of the correspondence that suggested the bullying and harassing behavior of specific Montague residents. Speaking on behalf of my son, I would like to offer sincere apologies to Tasha DeGeorge and Barbara Holstein for the information contained in the letter. The email was given to my son and read as part of a larger document forwarded by an anonymous author. I had no prior knowledge that he would be reading it, nor did I know the nature of the email. I was disturbed by the content of what was read, that it became personal and subjective, and that my son may have been manipulated for another's gain. My family and I have never harbored any ill will toward anyone in our community, and we have always focused on the issues, not the families, at the heart of this controversial endeavor. It's my hope to redress the personal improprieties done to friends, neighbors, and families as we move forward to resolve this arrangement that affects multiple districts and communities. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Krista Thomas, and I'm a resident of Montague. My daughter Haley is in 5th grade and has attended Montague Elementary School since kindergarten. Her educational journey in Montague has been positive, and Montague Elementary School has offered the challenge I think a top-performing school should offer. I started attending the Board of Education meetings in Montague at the tail end of her kindergarten year. My goal of attending and participating was to stress my belief and support of aligning Montague with the New Jersey school system. My initial concern was with the documented below-average scores of Port Jervis, but after time and educating myself, the more critical issue was fiscal, as I was concerned about the sustainability of Montague Elementary School. Now fast forward a few years to our send-receive contract with you. I, along with many other professional, educated people that reside in Montague, were thrilled. Finally, we have a link to a successful New Jersey school. Fast forward again to current state, which is probably worse than a bad reality TV show. We are in the middle of a financial and emotional storm. I didn't think I would be attending my daughter's future high school Board of Education meeting, but after watching the video from last month, I felt I would be remiss if I did not attend this meeting to let you and others know that there are parents that couldn't be happier, that the horrible analogies referencing High Point were misdirected and quite frankly sad. It was embarrassing to watch that video. I have lived this level of dysfunction and anger for years, and I apologize to you that you now have to feel trapped. Montague and their residents are better than what was displayed last month. We are a community ripped apart over a 60-year relationship with New York and a necessary change to help sustain our school. While I will never be an advocate for Port Jervis school system, I do see value when you consider in the addition to the resolution document. I always tell my team the best negotiations are when both parties feel like they won. More importantly, we as a community need to end this. I want to thank you for listening. While there is so much negativity and anger in the air, Montague is a wonderful community of people with tradition of family and obvious loyalty. And lastly, I'm so very excited to see my baby girl walk through your doors in 4 years.
Good evening. Christine Wiesel, also a resident of Montague. And I'm here today to let you know that I'm extremely supportive of the contract between Montague School and High Point. Montague entered into this contract, excuse me, because we were spending too much money on tuition. We were paying Port Jervis, New York, and the majority of our students were going to choosing charter or choice schools in New Jersey to continue their education. Montague was in danger of losing programs and teachers due to the high cost of that tuition. And as you know, we have a 2% cap, and Port Jervis was charging us 4.75% yearly. There was no way we could keep up and give younger children in our town the excellent education that has been come through, that we expect now in Montague School, thanks to Mrs. Hodge and her superior faculty and staff. I know you're aware of our situation, and I, along with many other parents, were thrilled when we entered into the contract. asking that you please stand by the contract and fight for the Montague parents who want their children to attend High Point Regional High School. We are not being represented by the Montague Board of Education, and for that I'm appalled. The Montague Board of Ed is only representing a few families that want to remain in New York. And as you know, the board's job is to take care of the good of the whole group. The attacks and comments made at your board meeting last month were atrocious and not the opinion of the majority of parents in our town. Please continue to fight for us and our children so that they are assured an excellent end to their public school education in your school. Thank you for your time.
Hi, George Gilman, also from Montague. To reference what has already been said, this process has torn our town apart, and I believe the addendum is the way to go forward to try and heal those wounds within our school, and within our town, rather. I apologize. I do support the addendum. Hopefully, we can get this behind us and move forward, and it can help our town come together as well. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, gentlemen. John Manning, President, taxpayer and voter of Montague. The arguments that you just heard do not reflect Montague as a whole. They don't come close. These people that are coming before you don't even have plans to send their children to High Point. Most of them that are here to argue against the people that want to have say in the future have really nothing to do. They promote High Point, tell you what a great job you're doing, tell you how everything is. Their children are going to kids in school. Something doesn't add up here. I would like to know, and you heard my arguments last month, how this board was able to negotiate a contract with an attorney that this board had to know was also representing Montague. How could that happen? I'm not a college-educated person, but I know that there's a conflict there. This contract was negotiated behind closed doors, behind the people's back of Montague, not considering the taxpayers and the voters. Anybody on this board that realized that this change was going to be so magnificent would have to say, did you check in with your voters first to see if this was okay with your voters? Did you check in with the taxpayers first, who will have to fit the bill for this? I don't think that that happened. How does the individuals that come up here that are sending their children to Kittatinny able to get in to see the commissioner when lay people in this crowd that I could bring up, we don't even get a return call? But somehow somebody that's in cahoots with the administration of Montague, the administration of High Point, and somehow does things behind people's backs, has stuck the Montague people in a situation which is taxation without representation. I do believe that you teach on that subject. Ladies and gentlemen, this contract was not done in good faith. If anyone should think you need to reject this contract, if all of a sudden now it's okay to accept this proposal where they can stay in Port Jervis, why were we told a few months ago, no, you can't do that, you can't. You cannot dictate to the people of Montague. We're going to follow through and see what happened behind these closed doors, to see what illegal things were happening, why procedure wasn't followed, and why we got hooked into this contract. I consider it an ill-gotten contract, and I think you guys should look at all the things, look at every part of the lawsuits, and look what happened, and you'll see it wasn't done in good faith. And, come on, simple. Almost any town in New Jersey would say, let's have a referendum. Let's see what the taxpayers and the citizens want. That did not happen here. Instead, your board, which was involved, worked behind our backs. Now, if you really truly love the children like you say you do, sir, you would read all the studies that say
The high school kids should be sleeping later, not going to bed early to have to get up at 5:30 in the morning to make it to school that is a half hour, 45 minutes plus on the bus. Doesn't that kind of go with what all the studies are saying? And is that really good for them? Not to mention the social depriving of them being ripped away from their friends that they grew up. Folks, there are many ways that can be brought out that will prove that this contract was ill-gotten and it should never have happened. I don't want you to accept it tonight. I want you to turn back the page. I want you to tell Montague, and it is okay if Montague kids stay in port. We found that out now. And tell Montague, have a referendum. Okay, this is going to be equal representation under the taxation. Let the people of Montague, for once, they have not had a say. And I guarantee you, you're going to see a different result in the arguments that were just spoken before me. Thank you very much.
Donna Campbell, and also a resident of Montague. I would like to say that I fully support the contract between Montague School and High Point School. I have a daughter that is in 6th grade now in Montague. I had no intention of ever sending her to port service, as a majority of parents in our town for years have not been sending their children to port service. They have been going to choice schools or charter or any place but port service. There's a very minority group of parents that want to send their kids to port service. And I fully support this contract. I fully support Mr. Ripley and hope that you will continue with this contract and not let the bullies of our town who want to set back time and go back to years ago and think that Port Jervis is a great school, and it's not. I support my daughter having an education in New Jersey at a high-performing school like High Point, and I don't see any reason to go backwards and go back to Port Jervis. Thank you.
Kelly Blackburn, Montague. I had something written, but, you know, tonight I feel like we're getting attacked for wanting our kids to go to Port Jervis. This is why Montague is so split. Our board is trying to do what is right. Our children want to go. My daughter wants to stay in Port Jervis. She has every right by law to stay in Port Jervis. Port Jervis is a good school, and I'm tired of listening to people bash the school. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a choice. If you want your kids to go to High Point, fine, that's good. But I want my daughter to stay where she is. Like I said, I'm tired of the bullying for these kids. I'm tired of being told that it's just a few kids that want to stay in port. It's not just a few kids, and they have every right. And it needs to stay the way it is. And I'm talking. Thank you.
How you doing, folks? Joe Calamus, Montague, New Jersey. I heard a whole bunch of stuff just now, and I disagree with most of it. My daughter attends Lafayette Elementary School. I took her out in the 5th grade. She's now in the 7th. There's a few things that I don't understand. I don't know the totals. I haven't been to too many board meetings. I don't know how many people want to stay in Port Jervis and this and that, or the exact number of students, but with all this legal back and forth and all this undermining and the bullying and the naysaying, these, you know, untrue facts, it might, you know, with all this expense on the lawyers and the this and the that, and just how many people want to remain in Montague? Give it to them. I mean, you know, in Port Jervis, fund that. How many more years do they have to go? 3? So if the Montague School Board really wanted to do the right thing, let them look at the budget and see how long or what it would cost these children to remain at the school that they want to. But I cannot agree with the majority of the people want to go to Port Jervis. I have to state that the majority of the people would want to stay in the New Jersey school. But with that said, I do apologize for all the negative stuff that you guys have gotten. I don't know if it's true or false, but it's just a disgrace for the town of Montague. I would like you guys to go steadfast forward with the send and receive. And like I said, dollar for dollar, if it's cost effective to send the group of kids who are in Port Jervis and want to remain, look at it, see how much it costs. And it's not to you guys, it would be to the Montague Board. See how much it costs, fund that. Because it might be easier just to fund that, and instead of the lawsuit, this, that, which lawyer did this, that, just stop it. The board, our board needs to stop it. So if it costs X amount of money for those 12, 14 kids to do it, so be it, do it. But I can honestly say, I do not think the majority of the folks in Montague that have school, that have children in the school, would want them to go to court. It's definitely a New Jersey thing. But again, the town is split. There are negatives. I have friends that are all for court. I am friends. If you can't put that aside, then that's mischaracter on that. It's the bullying really just ridiculous. But I commend you. I just want you to go steadfast on that. I thank you very much.
I'm from Montague. I was previously a student at High. And I just wanted to point out that at the last meeting, although it was wrong, when Barbara Holstein got up, people did I guess boo or whatever. And don't get me wrong, it was wrong. But I just wanted to point out the fact that while court parents were standing up and talking, this table is continuously talking, laughing, and making remarks at everything any court parent said. And I do agree that it was wrong for us, well, not me, but for people to boo or whatever at Barbara Wilson, because it's not right, but it's also not right for them to do it to us.
I just want to say something. Why'd you move to Montague in the school system? Plain and simple. Before this all happened. Why'd you move here?
Guys, if we can-
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bealey stated at High Point's website, when High Point settlement offer to Montague was posted, that High Point's primary concern was the education and welfare of the children and families. Why then did High Point not try to work something out with Montague last summer, instead of suing Montague and the costing of both districts so much in legal fees, rather than really doing what's best for the welfare of the children and families? Thank you.
I'm a sophomore at Hprhs High School. Some people describe us as pawns in our parents' game, when in reality, that is how you, High Point, and the state of New Jersey are treating us. Because to you, we are nothing more than dollar signs. We're constantly bullied by the adults in our town. One of the adults that you believe is informing you of what's going on has been making false statements. For example, at a previous meeting, she claimed that there are 42 happy students in Kittatinny from Montague. No one realizes what you're putting us through. I was unhappy while attending High Point my freshman year, and I will not come back. While it may be great to some, I did not have a pleasant experience, and I do not and did not belong here. There are many reasons why I'm happy at Hprhs. I'm a high honor student, I scored extremely high on my PSAT, and I have many supportive friends and teachers. While it may seem trivial to some, today my principal, Mr. Murata, walked around during our lunch and gave out chocolate chip cookies just because he wanted to. That's the kind of school Hprhs is, not all drugs and violence like people seem to believe. And lastly, I would like to know what's been done regarding the teacher who insulted us and called my school a toilet. Do you still think that it's none of your business, Mr. Ripley? I'd also like to make it clear that no one writes for me. After your February 23rd meeting, we understand some of the people in this room try to make it seem that we students have been told what to say. We think you should know that nobody told any of us what to say, and all of us were here then and are here again tonight because we want to be. For too long, the members of this board have tried to ignore us or else to pretend that you speak for us, but none of you speaks for us. We're speaking for ourselves because we're tired of being bullied by grown-ups who should know better but think it's all they do. Our message to you tonight is we're not afraid, we're not going to be silent anymore, and we're not going away. And you all need to remember this as tonight our friends and parents come up to address us. On Friday, in a published statement, Mr. Bailey said High Point has always stated and demonstrated that its primary concern was the education and welfare of children and families. None of us believe him. His actions speak louder than his words. So if all of you really care much about our families, are you going to be reasonable and allow the younger brothers and sisters of students attending Hprhs to remain in court as well? Or are you going to break up families by telling them they must come here and there's nothing you can do about it? I would like my 3 younger siblings to follow my footsteps and attend Hprhs.
Jennifer Lenny Montague. I understand some of the people in this room have suggested that the words coming from our kids are not their own. I have news for you. Our kids are here and asked to be here. And for those of you who think it's okay to make fun of these kids, some of whom have never spoken in public before, for coming here with prepared notes, I would love to see all of you and Mr. Ripley come to a board meeting and operate without any prepared notes or crib sheets. Until then, you all should stop being hypocrites and should remember that people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And rather than just listening to the words, try listening to these kids' hearts. They've been abused, pushed around, and bullied for much too long, and are standing up to you. And for that, they deserve all the credit in the world. And it's our job as parents to support them. As you prepare to go into executive session, is that any effort to try to divide us or pit against one another by grade level, age, or whatever else as some sort of negotiating ploy will fail. We're standing together as one, and we're going to continue to do so. In one of the recent articles in the New Jersey Herald, there was a whole article about how has High Point gotten their lesson on the law yet, and I'm curious if you've had a lesson in the law. If you think to your executive session that you had when you had your special meeting, when you brought up my name during that executive session, as well as my children and their situation, you need my permission to speak about my children and ask me if I want it during public or executive session. I do not support the agreement for obvious reasons. I have a 9th grader in Hprhs. There are 3 younger ones, one in 2nd grade, one in 4th grade, and one in 6th grade. Just like my daughter had said, if you're so concerned about keeping families together, then you're going to do everything to keep not just my family together, but other families together as well, all the way down to my 2nd grader. With this High Point settlement, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, we'll follow the law. That's doing us a favor. It's your job to follow the law, and you haven't been following it. How about something along the lines of something like our previous board president, Beverly Borrego, signed on June 24, 2014, a transition plan agreement in which the current 9th graders would be given the opportunity to go to High Point or to Hprhs. The current 10th graders this year would have been given the opportunity to go to either High Point or Hprhs. This was signed. It takes care of siblings and everything. It was signed by Beverly Borrego. It was signed by John Wasey on June 24, 2014. Never went beyond that, and I don't know what happened to it. It almost seems like it dissolved. You should ask her about it. Just to end, I don't think any of you sitting up there have any idea how this affects families. And I'm just going to speak specifically on my family because within the past 2 days, we've had a lot of things going on. Last night, I left the Montague board meeting. I had some health concern. I called my doctor. He told me to get over to the emergency room. That's where I went The stress is unbelievable. I get a phone call today from the school nurse in Montague, who says, your son is not himself today. I don't know what's going on. He's complaining his throat hurts. His throat's not red. He's crying a lot. He said that you were in the emergency room last night. I don't know what's going on. Can you come get him? So I broke down in front of my students at work on this phone call, left work to go pick him up, and she even said, I think it's the stress. And my response to her was, yes, you're right, it is the stress. He senses the stress in our household because we don't know what's going on. My daughter is suffering a concussion right now. She ended up coming home with me as well because her headaches were unbearable in school today. So my oldest, who's the freshman, she was home today because she has knots in her stomach because she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know where she's going to school next month. You have no clue. Put yourself in my shoes. These parents who come up here and say, I moved to Montague and I had no intention of sending my kids to Port Jervis. Where do they plan on going then for 7th through 12th grade? They only plan on them going to elementary school? Something's got to be done. This has got to stop. I can't take it anymore. And you need to put yourselves in those shoes of the parents who actually did their job and knew where they wanted their kids to go to school. Enough is enough. I'm done with this.
I've given you some history in the past. In 1955, 53, the referendum went in Forest to build Montague School. That was because the state of New Jersey said to Montague, you need to send your children to consolidated school. You need to build one. You can't keep your 4 one-room schoolhouses. So Montague started debating this. Actually, that was in 1949. Fast forward to 53. They went to vote. It was 171 to 140. 171 people in Montague chose to build Montague School. 140 people wrote an editorial to the New Jersey Herald. My information comes from the New Jersey Herald archives. I spent time researching them at the library 3 years ago. In 1955, when the vote came out, there was an editorial from 140. So it said that it was a wrong step in Montague's future to build our elementary school. It is a highly successful, great school today for our children to remain in their town and go to their school in New Jersey. So Montague, that was the only vote that Montague ever did on sending children to Port Jervis. The decision to send them 7 to 12 was made by the school board at that time without a referendum. It was made at that time because it was different roads, there was different travel in 1953 and 55. Those conditions no longer exist. We have trained bus drivers, we have safer roads, we have schools at High Point that are closer to some students in Montague than Port Jervis is. This isn't just about a few students, it's about the majority of students. The proposal that you sent to Montague School takes care of the majority of students in Port Jervis right now. The ones who are saying they're going to keep fighting, I don't know what they're fighting for. You've given them in your proposal the ability to choose as 8th graders to stay in Port or go to High Point next year. 9 through 12, even though they were there this year, despite the commissioner's rulings, despite the warnings from the state of New Jersey, not from High Point School Board, not from High Point School Board, but from the state of New Jersey. That is why the lawsuits took place, because the state of New Jersey is also making calls here, because this is where we live. We have a constitution in the state of New Jersey, taxpayers without representation, sending close to $60 million or more, 1.8, 2.3 per year to Port Jervis, where we can't vote on local leadership, Board of Education members, state assembly, state congressmen, or anyone else in the state of New York. Who is deciding on the budgets? Port Jervis spends over $24,000 a year on their students. Very similar to High Point. Montague's tuition was negotiated. I have documents to show you. I could. They're usually in my bag. It was negotiated years ago. It used to be done without a contract until 2000. After parents of Montague 2000 fought throughout the 90s and into 2000
for a Montague school K-12 here in New Jersey. Those parents took it to court. Unfortunately, they lost to an administrative law judge, and their fight got too hard for them. They put their children in in Hope John. Some of them had to go to court because there were not seats here in New Jersey. Fast forward to 1997, when charter opened their doors, 50% of our kids have gone to charter school since then. Port Jervis's enrollment has declined, but yet every year our tuition stayed almost steadfast from 2007. From 2000 all the way to 2007. Why? Because they had a 3.75 non-negotiable increase for regular ed students, and it charged additional charges for if you were a special ed student. A little unconstitutional, I think, to have two different fees depending on your disability. There's a lot of emotion that's come into all of this. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I appreciate some of the apologies that came from the other public members tonight. They do mean something. This proposal helps the majority of students. If you want to consider the consideration that was passed last night at Montague's board meeting, please consider. However, the ultimate factor is meeting the needs of the majority of students. That's what's the most important here. The other factor for me is that our tax dollars, our students, stay in New Jersey. That is where they belong, and that's where they should have been for quite some time now. Thank you.
Montague, New Jersey. I come from a former teacher in Montague, who was terminated down there. And that's taken all to heart. Our previous board that we had, they voted for 9th through 12th grade. Come here to High Point. Not knowing what to do for 7th, 12th, or 7th and 8th grade. So we went out for a referendum, $13 million, a little addition on the school. But John's putting on 3 classrooms down here for $4 million. I don't understand that. But then they decided they didn't need the $13 million, instead of $3 million. I brought it to people, and they turned it all down. That's a lot of money. And decided we really don't need addition, unless it brings 7th and 8th grade. The pupil population is down there, down here. You guys want our students over here for the money. I don't care about the students. I know you, Mr. Ritter says here, love. It's money, it's a love of money. As soon as you sign that contract, you got a raise. And that's what it's all about. I'm not for this contract with Montague. What you should do is go with a dual send and receive. Everybody would be happy. Those people want to go to High Point, they'll come over here. People want to go to Kittatinny, let them go. Go to Port Jervis. And that's the answer to the whole problem. No more lawyers, no more fighting. Everybody will be happy. Thank you.
I'd like to ask this board, how did we get here? We have a town that's bleeding. Just look at them. And we do look shady in the deal. I do understand these students. I have 4 of my own that went through High Point High School. And I remember before they came up to High Point High School, those children did everything that they could because they were going to wear the High Point colors. And they were going to play for High Point, and they were going to be part of this school, and they were going to do the best job there. I can't understand how students that don't want to be here are going to have the ability to do that. They're going to be disgruntled. And so are their siblings. You have to do what's right for these families. And the right thing is to let these families all go to where they want to go. And just end it. Because we're, in the end, looking bad here. We're forcing this. And I don't understand how we got here and why we are here. Can anyone answer that? What is it we're doing here? Dr. Ripley, what is it we're doing? Is this what we wanted?
and this is a public comment section. You can make whatever comments regarding the agenda items that you like. It's not a Q&A.
I'm sorry. Let's think about this.
Hi, Lori Ansback-Eckert from Frankfurt Township. First of all, I'd like to start by congratulating the girls' basketball team for a wonderful season that they had. Coach Dexter and making it to the finals of the state championship, and he's excellent champ. That's a great honor for High Point. Second of all, I'd like to say I love High Point. This is my home. I graduated from High Point. My kids attended here. My father was even one of the original teachers here at High Point when it opened up. And it's really sad to see all the things that are happening in the newspaper. I've attended a few board meetings here and there, and I know there was a lot of disgruntled problems with the past administration and the past board, and we had a lot of things in the newspaper, but I really thought that was over when the new administration took over, new board members were here. But unfortunately, it's happening again, and it really breaks my heart to see High Point, which is such a wonderful school, to be ripped through the papers, and I know certain people are enjoying doing that, and I really hope that they change their feelings towards that, because High Point is a great school. However, I do have to say that I attended the board meeting back in 2013, when this original thing was starting. And it was my point when I brought up to the board at that time, was that how can we make a decision when it was obvious that Montague were both, there were sides, and I can see both sides, the sides that wanted to come to High Point, the sides that wanted to go to Fort Jervis. It was obvious the town was ripped apart. And at that time, I myself, and I know several other people in the public session, brought up the point of how can we make a decision when that town itself hasn't even made a decision. And it's really sad to see how this has all gone, the way it's gone. And unfortunately, we're spending so much money in litigation, on attorney fees, and everything else along the way. It's costing, the only ones making out here are the attorneys, to be honest. Everybody else is losing. The Montague board, the High Point board, it's just costing way too much money. It's obvious that the town of Montague is torn apart. And I know somebody mentioned earlier that the only way, to engage in negotiations that people feel good is if they feel that they won. And at this point, hearing both sides, I don't think anybody's going to feel like they won unless we give them the free choice to decide. And it's my understanding that there's really a lot of students that are going to Kittatinny, and they even have so many students that they have to provide a bus from Montague to Kittatinny because it's a free choice, it's a school, a free choice district, and a school of choice, a school of choice. And if possible, why at this point can't we let the Montague people choose for themselves where they go? Maybe in 10 years it'll all work itself out. Then the people that want to come to High Point can come to High Point. The people that want to go to Kittatinny can go to Kittatinny. The kids that want to stay at Fort Jervis along with their siblings. And that's really where I feel, because I read the new agreement, and I really appreciate all of you your time to put it together to come to some kind of agreement. But at least what you have to do is let the siblings that are of people that are already at Fort Jervis, to let them attend Fort Jervis. Because I can imagine all of you, if you put yourself in their situation, if you had students that if the reverse was going on, and we had to send our students to Fort Jervis instead of High Point, if you had a senior here and a freshman coming up that they were forced to go to Fort Jervis, how you would feel of having to go to two different schools, trying to attend all the events and their activities. I think that would be nearly impossible. And ultimately, my say would be that everybody can make their own choice. If that's not realistic, at least, in all honesty, consider the siblings of the students that are there. Because I think if you put yourself in their situation, you would feel the same way, that it's very important that those students are taken care of. And I just want to thank you, because I know being on the board is a thankless job, and I do appreciate all the time and hours you put into it. So please use your heart as well as your mind to make that judgment, and hopefully we can make the agreement that at least the siblings could attend Fort Jervis if they so choose. Thank you.
Hi,
I guess I have to say, I think of her gentleman. I mean, my heart goes out to her. If you're parents, I hope that you hear what she said, how emotional this is, and this whole thing of Montague and High Point is so emotional and so stressful on our families and our town. It goes into everything. It goes into our churches, it goes into our sports, it goes into absolutely everything. Friends that were friends aren't friends. Okay, I mean, this is where it is. People don't support functions. People don't give money to things because other people are angry with their people. I don't understand why Montague and High Point can't have a dual SIM relationship. Let Montague have a dual relationship with Port Jervis. He'll still get kids coming here. He'll still have kids coming here. And Port Jervis will have the kids. If it's like this woman, Frankfurt one.
Yes.
I remember you from last time. Yes, you still have your money. And let the chips fall where they may fall. If more kids want to come here, fine. And if they feel comfortable coming here, fine. If they feel comfortable going to Port Jervis, by all means, let them go. You can see the stress in the family. I have 8 children, and I have educated my children in New Jersey schools and in the New York schools. And it could be done. It could be done. I don't see why you cannot have dual relationship, a send receive, and ask and let the people go where they want. And I think that would end all these water fees and the cost, like she said. It's tremendous. It's tremendous on the district. And all that money is just taken away from your children and your programs. Okay? Thank you.
Johnson, the board president for Montague. I'm speaking specifically on one item and not the thoughts or beliefs or what I would like to see happen. For the resolution that is before each of you tonight, we had passed a resolution that's different than what is before you. There was a part to it that finished off after the last paragraph that you've got now, therefore be resolved, the terms of the settlement offered by High Point Regional Board of Education on March 10th, 2016 be accepted, and legal counsel is directed and authorized to take such further actions as may be necessary or advisable to effectuate said terms. There was an additional statement that's not on the statement that was handed out in public, and it reads, be it further resolved that although the Montague Board of Education has accepted and is willing to be bound by the 7 paragraphs of the settlement offer, Montague requests that the High Point Regional Board of Education give favorable consideration to families with children who will be attending Port Jervis High School next year to allow their younger siblings currently in the 6th or 7th grade to also attend Port Jervis through high school graduation. Is there a reason that's not on the resolution before the board? Because that's what we passed, that's right.
It is, we did hear from council, it was so stipulated that it was a non-binding resolution. However, it is something that the board can consider at a later date.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure all the board members were aware of it. And then, I mean, even the wording throughout we had 7 clauses and there were 8 on yours, but the wording's different, you know, with legal connotations that could have different meanings ultimately, but it's not the exact same thing. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. Thank you.
he's not anywhere in this agreement. Neither are my other two children. And my son would like to stay in Port Jervis. He does not want to go to High Point. He does not want to go back to Montague. As far as I'm concerned, that should be a preschool and a 6th grade, not a 7th and 8th. Maybe years from now, it might be a good education for them, but not right now. And I grew up here in Montague, and these families have traditions and values, and we're trying to stick with them. And the other thing is with that paper, I do not agree with it, all the stuff is now in there with board and all, and I'm so upset, and so my children, like it says, it's tearing us apart. It's tearing the community apart. People do not want this. And I am sure High Point is a great school. I'm sure it's wonderful. It is not what my child wants. And he had the right to choose where he wanted to go. And I still want my other two children to have that right to choose. And that is a gift that you should not be taking from these children, to choose where they want to continue their education. Excuse me. And they want to finish where they want to finish. This is a gift, as they say. Do not take that from them. Thank you.
Any other public comments on agenda items? I'd like to take a 5 to 10 minute recess. We'll be back in a few minutes, okay? Thank you. How are you?
I just hope I'm not shaking this camera.
Skill lines, I don't know, there are a lot there. Like, you have any questions, give me a call. Our health advisor, we have, we're not Kathy's only question, her only question is someone like part-time. Or someone, yeah, that probably makes it feel better. That's right. It's a great I think we're in 18 hours a month. 18 days a month. To use as a, whether they're all or coming.
I thought the one for sure was going to fall. I have to go back and make sure. I just
No, I like
Charlie, okay, the chair of our finance committee meeting, he couldn't make it yesterday.
Okay, you're on the phone.
Yeah. No, that was not on the phone, he didn't even make the call. Okay, yeah, we can do it, that's okay. Anyway, so he's the chair of finance and whatever.
It would be more fine either way, but we'll let you know. Right. Well, I know it's ours too, right?
High time, I got it.
You got it? All right, cool. Just making sure.
It's late. You guys talk so fast.
It's a lot easier if I just share it like that.
And usually John Callan. I'm lucky I can okay, see you.
I'm calling you for a little.
Stand up.
kids, you know.
I would like to call the meeting back to order. We'll continue on the agenda with presentations. And we will now hear from Alan.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. I will try to be as brief as I can with a lot of good things going on. Today we had our Teen Arts activities. Teen Arts, for those who don't know, is at SDC. They coordinate that. It's all the schools in the county. We go there, we saw some familiar faces there, and we celebrate everything from music to artistic ability. We have some artwork behind you that you see. We had some crafts. We had some musicians play. We had some singers. We had some media tech projects. It was this endless amount of talent that was there. It was a fantastic day. Those of you that follow us on Twitter, or me on Twitter, you saw a lot of great pictures of our kids' work throughout the day. It really is invigorating to see that our fine performing arts department, led by Mr. Aldo Diazino, the humanities supervisor, is doing tremendous things. So a round of applause for them. Very well. Julia Pettinger was selected to go on to the New Jersey State Teen Arts, and that will be held in June down at Ocean County Community College. It's a pretty prestigious award for her work in Miss Meyer's class, so very exciting. Tomorrow we're embarking on something very new. We've had Tilly's Kids before, which is where we go down to a school usually in Newark. We pass it along. The senator who's not here tonight coordinates that, and we exchange gifts and bring gifts to them for the children in the preschool. We've been doing that for several years to pass it along. What we had such a great time down at the Augusta preschool in Newark that we invited them to come up here. So tomorrow, for the first time, we're going to be having 130 plus preschoolers from Newark come here to High Point. And they will be part of our spring musical preview, as Teresa Riccardi is going to be previewing to the entire school in 2 different sessions, a little preview to our spring musical, Singing in the Rain. So the students will come up. They're going to be partnered with our Pass It Along and a bunch of other volunteers that Ms. Henry has coordinated, and they are going to shadow our students throughout the day. We have activities planned all throughout the day from about 9:30 until 2 o'clock when they're here. They're going to eat lunch with our students here in the cafeteria a little bit before everybody else. They're going to have a fantastic day. So that's going to be a great day for them to come up and see what High Point is about and to experience that as well. We also have, as we said, the spring musical this weekend. For those who haven't got your tickets, they are selling out fast, so please make sure that you get them. Singing in the Rain is our show this year. That's Friday, Saturday at 7 o'clock, Sunday at 2 o'clock. We'll look at the forecast. We have to make some adjustments there, but we'll talk about that later. We also have a senior citizen luncheon on Sunday. We have nearly 220 senior citizens coming to the school. Provide them a free lunch. They come here from about 12:30 till about 1:30. We have a nice luncheon here in the cafeteria, and then they go to the show at 2 o'clock. So that's exciting. That's led by Mr. Blevins and Mrs. Frisbee and Pride, Hprhs Rejoicing in a Drug-Free Environment, and many other clubs that participate in that as well. We also are on Monday piloting our block schedule, a hybrid version of our block schedule because we have to obviously split the lunches in half at this version. So that'll be on Monday the 21st. So we're excited about looking at that, seeing what that will look like. We're going through that as well as that's on the 21st. Busy week, busy time period to say. On the 24th, led by Trooper Van Bear. Those of you know, Trooper Van Bear is stationed here, works in the community policing unit. And also Mrs. Woolley, a special ed student, are going to be leading a presentation on Thursday the 24th on distracted driving. And also Ms. Woolley works with a group of brain injured students that have had various accidents throughout their lifetime, and they will be presenting to our students in 2 separate assemblies about the wares of driving when distracted and how these accidents can cause serious long-term injury. So thank you to Trooper Bear and Mrs. Woolley for doing that. The third marching period comes to an end as we speak on the 8th of April, which is when we come back from spring break. It seems very fast as we get to the fourth marching period, which is fastly approaching. We're working on building the schedule for next year, 2016, 2017, and we're excited about the new block schedule and what that looks like, so we're going to be working on that pretty furiously over the next month. And as you see later on in your agenda, there are proposed a group of German exchange students that requested through an exchange company to come here and host and shadow our students on our German programs. We're looking to host them in late October and also early November and shadow him here a couple days here at high school. So that's what we have going on for the this point, Mr. Van Orden, our athletic director, is going to give us our athletic report. I want to steal the assembly because we've had a pretty good month in athletics. Mr. Van Orden? Thank you. Any questions? Sorry. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Townley. And again, this was a very successful winter, and I'm very proud to be up here and speak with everybody about it. First, I'd like to just touch on our boys basketball program. Made it to the state playoffs once again, losing to Mawa in the first round this past winter. Our girls basketball team, I could probably go on for about the next half hour about. It's probably, if you had a chance to see our girls play, something special. Probably one of the best basketball teams to come out of this county in quite some time. There have been some good teams that come out. They were Freedom Division champions, and then finally the North Section 1 Group 2 champions, our first state championship in basketball in school history, 50 years. So we're definitely very proud of that. The team advanced to the Group 2 final, losing to Manasquan this past Sunday. Just to tell you how good Manasquan was for them to beat us, considering how good of a basketball team we had. Okay, so hats off to them. They were just a tremendous team. We were led by Maddie Smith, who was named the Mugs Media Player of the Year recently from Jerry Morelli and Dan Cleary, and she'll be taking her talents next year to Holy Cross. So we're looking forward to that and wish her all the best of luck. And the Lady Wildcats were also named the Team of the Year from Mugs Media, so we're very proud of that honor as well. And last but not least, I want to recognize Coach Dexter. Got his 300th win at the Group 2 semis last week at Bloomfield High School against Newark Tech. So a great, tremendous feat on his behalf. There's only probably 2 or 3 other coaches in the county who have more wins than Coach Dexter. So we're very, very fortunate to have somebody of his stature here working with our girls. Our wrestling team, we sent one individual to the region finals, and that individual won, Kevin Lewis at heavyweight. And what made it such a tremendous feat was Kevin was giving up about 45 pounds in the final to the kid that he wrestled from Phillipsburg. And upset him 8-6 with a takedown in the final 10 seconds of the match. And Kevin became a Region 1 heavyweight title holder. And again, very proud of his accomplishments. And he advanced to the NJSIAA tournament down in Atlantic City last weekend. At this time, I was able to do a little bit of homework. I want to give a little quick update on our alumni that we have right now that are doing some phenomenal things right now. Last weekend, we had 2 wrestlers were named All-American at the Division III Wrestling Nationals. Drew Wagenhofer, class of 2011, out of Wartburg College, placed second at 157 pounds, 3-time All-American. And Joe Gascione was a first-time All-American, also class of 2011. He is a redshirt senior at Johnson & Wales up in Rhode Island. He placed 8th at 149 pounds. And this weekend, we've got Billy Smith, class of 2011, at Rutgers University, seated 12th in the national, for the national duels this weekend at Madison Square Garden in the heavyweight division. So again, 3 of our alumni wrestlers doing some great things. And if you had a chance to see Division III wrestling, there isn't much difference between Division III wrestling and Division I wrestling. Division I wrestlers might be a little quicker. That's about it. But Division III wrestling is legit. To have 2 All-Americans, that's something to be said. So we're very proud of those individuals as well. And we wish Billy Smith good luck this weekend. We've got 2 of our softball pitchers, scholarship softball pitchers from our class of 2014, our 2-time Group 2 state championship team. Allie Fry is over at Boston College right now, currently 9-5 with a 2.59 ERA. And Chelsea Eckert is at University of Connecticut, having a great career herself, currently 4-7 with a 4.11 ERA. So they're both off very good starts for us as well. All right, and congratulations to Ms. Eckert. Last but not least, I just want to give you a quick update on our spring sports. We have 318 student athletes competing in spring sports now, which is roughly 33%. So 1 out of every 3 student athletes in the hallways here are doing something in the spring. Something phenomenal. I've never seen numbers like that in my years, here or at Wallkill Valley. So again, it's just a tribute to our kids. They're doing a tremendous job. Okay, thank you. This time, I'd like to present Seamus Skin.
We'll start with that. Good evening, everyone. We have some new topics and some update on some topics we mentioned previously. So tomorrow I had the joy of driving down to Trenton at 5:30 in the morning to represent these 21 teachers. High Point was one of 28 schools chosen around the state to participate in a pilot program where teachers observe themselves. Rather than an administrator, teachers film themselves, they survey the students, they critique themselves, they score themselves, then they meet with an administrator and they reflect on that observation. And as I mentioned to you at the November meeting, the feedback from the staff has been phenomenal. Thank you to these 21 teachers. Their input is now going to shape the policy for the state of New Jersey. So tomorrow is our third and final meeting for this pilot program, and they're going to take High Point's information. Our hope is to expand it, and that every teacher will experience seeing themselves on film next year. In January, this board asked a question about student privacy and Google Apps for Education. Just a quick update. Google is basically following the pressure from the public. They're being extremely responsive. Senator Al Franken from Minnesota issued an open letter, and Google responded with a 7-page open letter. Got a lot of national headlines over the holidays, and they are responding to it. What Google has said is, we do not target advertising towards your students. Further, we separate their login information and personal account data from the data that we collect in the aggregate. They do collect data. They claim it's to find out whether websites are functioning properly. Basically, all I can tell you is that I called Google, I called Mr. Jonathan Rochelle. The head of Google Apps for Education actually lives in Chester. He's on their Board of Education. We have made adjustments to our security system, and it's just a matter of staying one step ahead and doing our best to protect our students. We take that very seriously. Those are kind of softballs to warm up for the fun topic of the night. In almost exactly 1 month, we will be taking the park. This is the second year for the park. Why are we taking it? First, we need to remind ourselves that statewide assessments that are mandatory have been around since the 1970s. HSLO was the precursor to the park. Next, the class of 2020, our current 8th graders will be required to show proficiency on this assessment. We don't want to wait to 2018 in order to get the valuable feedback that will shape our curriculum to help students achieve. We need to be ahead of that curve so that our students who come in next year in 9th and 10th grade can be prepared to pass the park, which is an extremely rigorous exam. We want meaningful feedback. If 30 or 40% of the kids don't take it, it's not meaningful. And fourth, it is a federal mandate that we participate in our funding is at stake. Our goals this year are to dramatically increase student participation, not disrupt classes. When students park or take the park in the morning, there will be no other classes at High Point. Your assignment for the day is to be in your supervised room, prepared to take the assessment. We have an easy and clear schedule, which I'll be presenting to the staff tomorrow, and we want to reduce the stress on students. Many students they experience test anxiety and stress, and we want to reduce that. The Commissioner of Education has made it clear the concept of refusal or opt-out was retired last year. It is our educational program for the day. There is no other educational option, and you are expected to take the test. This is our park schedule. Last year we had 14 test days. Today, this year we've condensed it to 6, not including the 2 makeup days towards the end. And when we come back from spring break, we're going to have a walkthrough where all the students go to their test room, log in, become comfortable with the platform, and prepare for the test. That's what our schedule is going to look like. Our seniors, I think, are quite pleased. They're going to come in at 9:30 for 6 consecutive days, and then they're going to attend 7 classes. So we have an adjusted schedule where 2 periods each day drop off so that we can make the classes that do meet 42, 43 minutes and ensure that they're meaningful. Communication. In the last month, we had a parent night. It's in the guidance newsletter. There's a letter on our website. We sent the letter home. There was a bulletin being read in class. I have to thank our English teachers and our math teachers. I met with both departments yesterday. They are the front people. They are the professionals who are presenting this to our children. And it's their encouragement, their confidence, and their support that's going to make our students feel that this is something that they can do. Mr. Talent, I sent out an all call last night. The district received a phone call alerting them to the memo that's on the webpage. So our effort to communicate has been robust. Block scheduling. Mr. Talent may mention that. This is the mock block that our principal has developed for this coming Monday. It will condense our lunches from 3 to 2 and lengthen them, and it will allow students to experience a day where not every class meets, and those classes meet for a longer period of time. We think this is an important transition to have our students get comfortable with the block schedule. Last, Mr. Talman also mentioned social media. I've shared with this board before, I was not a social media user until about a year ago. Probably today I got 15 updates on my Twitter page with all the fascinating, awesome things that our students are doing. We have 6 tech teachers travel to Washington, D.C. March 2nd to March 4th. That was expensive. That's an investment that we're making. The 2 teachers to the right of that picture are recent college graduates who presented at the National Tech Ed Conference. To me, the impact it has on shaping them and their image as educators is invaluable. Mrs. Fasano is the one on the left. Mr. Drell is the one on the right, in case that wasn't clear. Princeton University was here last week. A professor from Princeton came and interviewed 6 teachers, sat in on 2 classes, interviewed students. There are tens of thousands of teachers in New Jersey. Mrs. Barbara Fasano is one of 10 who is a finalist to be the Princeton Distinguished Teacher of the Year. And they will soon announce their 3 finalists. Mr. Drella, who's here tonight, was also once one of the 10 distinguished finalists. This is what I love about my job. When I get emails all the time, come and drop into my classroom. So Mr. Ryan was trying to explain to his civics students the political spectrum, and you've got 6 or 7 teachers who just popped in, and the students were invited to ask us anything they wanted, and we tactfully shared with them what we think of the system and our views, etc. So it's a pleasure to be invited in frequently to classes. Our principal, this was fantastic. Friday was National Shadow Student Day. Mr. John Talamay it was a delayed opening, but he spent all 9 periods joined at the hip with one of our students. So he bench pressed in phys ed, and he went to lunch and he ate delicious food, and it was a great example of our building principal wanting to connect with the students. This was about 2 weeks ago. We presented on block scheduling. Sometimes you invite parents to come in, you get 12 parents. We had 80 parents show up to hear us present on the upcoming block schedule, and they were quite prepared. They had tough, informed questions, and it was an excellent night. This is our Wildcat Explorer program, where a young student is learning some skills that will be transferable to the workplace with Mrs. Karen Vanderroof and guidance. And Kayla Halloran did not just knocked down 6 3-pointers in the first half on Thursday. She also is an AP Environmental Science whiz. And I'm sitting in my office, and I look at my phone, and little do you know, out my window, there's 22 kids that are drawing sap from a tree. So the social media aspect of knowing what's going on in the building is great. Seton Hall won a phenomenal. They won the Big East tournament on Saturday, but Mrs. Loyola was there with 21 students on her own time, giving up an entire day to bring our kids to National History Day. Those signs, I'm often in her classroom, and they came in every lunch period and after school to prepare these signs and to compete in this national organization. And last but not least, as I sat in my office today, my phone was flooded with tweets. 140 High Point students went to SCCC, and I've heard that we were clearly, and sounds like it's boastful, but people said we stood out as the most exceptional art school there. And I think that our 2 supervisors are here tonight, Mr. Brian Drell and Mr. Aldo Diodino. We have a phenomenal STEM program and a phenomenal humanities program. And because of the faculty and their leadership, this is the kind of product that we're constantly getting from our sorry. And again, I just encourage you, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, again, you don't have to be, this doesn't have to be a daily commitment for a half an hour. You just flip at it and you see great things all day long that are happening at our school. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to move to action items on the agenda. I'm going to move item I, legal number 1, the addendum. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approve the following resolution regarding the sending and receiving agreement between High Point Regional High School, School Board of Education, and the Montague Township Board of Education. Motion. Discussion.
Through the chair, I'd just like to remind the board that as it states in the addendum, that if the board is to approve this resolution tonight, that's not quite the end of things. As it states in the resolution, any agreement as it's finalized between Montague and High Point does require the approval of the Commissioner of New Jersey. So it's possible, though not perchance likely, that both boards will agree to this agreement and the Commissioner may say no. So I just want to make you all aware of that.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Ankliff.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes. Okay, next I'd like to move to agenda item A, curriculum and instruction and technology. I'd like to move items 1 through 8. 1 being the faculty attendance rate for February at 95%, attachment A1. Number 2, the student attendance rate for February, attachment A2. Number 3, the enclosed copy of the suspension report, attachment A3. Number 4, the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, in attachment A4. Number 5 is recommended by the superintendent. The Board of Education approves the field trips as listed on the attached roster in attachment A5. Item 6, it's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves professional development activities as listed on the attached roster, attachment A6. Number 7 is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves a comprehensive equity plan for school years 2016-17 through 2018-19, attachment A7. Lastly, item number 8 is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves participation in the German exchange program through Carousel Student Tours, Inc. High Point would host a group of students from Karlsruhe, Germany from October 20th through November 3rd, 2016 at no cost to the Board of Education. Second, 1 through 8. Any discussion?
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Ankliff.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh.
Yes. Okay, next is item B, personnel. I'd like to move items 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the following substitute for the remainder of the 2015 school year. Mark Tassilo, substitute custodian. Item 2, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves Title I grant-funded stipend of $4,000 to Patricia Piat for coordination of intervention and referral services during the 2015-16 school year. Item number 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the appointment of Thomas Duff as network manager effective March 14, 2016 for the remainder of the 2015 school year at an annual salary of $73,000 prorated. Second, 1 through 3. Any discussion?
Mr. Ankliff.
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Done.
Yes. Okay, next I'd like to move agenda item C, extracurricular, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, it's recommended by the superintendent the Board of Education approves submission to and participation in the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association Cooperative Sports Program application for the 2016-17 school year between High Point Regional High School and Walker Valley Regional High School, involving swimming, ice hockey, and skiing, as listed in attachment C1. Item 2, it's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the resignation with regret of the individual listed below, effective for the 2016 school year, for Lisa Frisbee, fall cheerleading head coach. And item number 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the appointment of the individual as listed below, effective for the 2015 school year for the assistant baseball coach. Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ankliff.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Voight.
Yes.
And Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Okay, next I'd like to move to agenda item D, policy. I'd like to move items 1, 2, and 3. Item 1 is most of the new and updated state of New Jersey statutes and administrative codes use the term student or students instead of pupil or pupils. We will be making these changes in all future policy regulation updates. Therefore, there will not be a strike through the word pupil or pupils, as these words will automatically replace the student or students in all future updates on revised policies and regulations. Item number 1, policies is listed. Item number 2, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the first reading of the following new policy, Policy 8540, School Nutrition Programs, Attachment D8. And then item number 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves to abolish the following regulation, Regulation 8540, free and reduced rate meals as noted in Attachment D9.
Second.
Any discussions on items 1, 2, and 3? Roll call.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Voight.
Yes.
Mr. Ankliff.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
And Mr. Miller.
Yes. Agenda item E, negotiations. There are no negotiating items at this time. Agenda item F, buildings and grounds. Again, there are no buildings and grounds items to discuss at this time. And next it will be agenda item G, finance.
For finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 5. Item 1 is report of the board secretary, business administrator for the month of February 2016 in attachment G1A. Item 2 is the report of the treasurer for the month of February 2016 in attachment G2A and G2B. Item 3 is the report of transfers for the month of February 2016 in attachment G3. Item 4 is scheduled audited bills dated March 15, 2016 in attachment G4. And item 5 is a list of the accounts in attachment G5.
Second.
Any discussion on items 1 through 5? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ankliff.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Voight.
Yes.
And Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Now I'd like to move item 6. It is recommended that the board approve the adoption of the tentative school budget for the 2016-17 school year as follows. Do you agree with the presentation?
I'll say something.
Adoption of the tentative budget for 2016-17, be it resolved that the tentative budget be approved for the 2016-17 school year and authorized to submit the following tentative budget to the Executive County Superintendent of Schools for approval in accordance with the statutory deadline. Be it resolved that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education approve the raising of the general fund taxes for 2016-17 tentative school budget to be $15,751,022. Capital reserve account withdrawal as listed. The maintenance reserve account withdrawal as listed. Travel and related expense reimbursement for 2016-17. Whereas the High Point Regional High School Board of Education recognizes school staff and board members will incur travel expenses related to and within the scope of their current responsibilities and for travel that promotes the delivery of instruction or furthers the efficient operation of the school district. And I'm going to skip down all the way to be it further resolved. It's at the bottom of the page 10 that High Point Regional High School Board of Education approved travel and related expense reimbursements in accordance with NJAC 6A 23B 1.2B to a maximum expenditure of $75,000 for all staff and board members. And the last part is to advertise. This is on page 11 at the top. And to advertise the tentative budget in the New Jersey Herald in accordance with the form suggested by the State Department of Education and according to law.
Discussion?
I would just like to briefly state to the board, as the board has received this packet and was discussed in each committee, that the budget has been reduced, the overall budget has been reduced by $1.2 million year over year, and that the tax levy has also been reduced by more than $56,000. So I just wanted to make that clear so that the board was aware of our attempt to continue to be fiscally responsible for the community.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Raincliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
And Mr. Voight-Pugh.
Yes. Now I'd like to move items 7 through 9. Item 7 is recommended that the board approve the participation in special education Medicaid incentive program for 2016-17 school year, certify the state and assurances for the program. Item 8 is for some tuition contracts as listed. High Point is receiving the following districts and related information. Item 9 is some more tuition contracts where High Point is descending, and the following districts and related information are listed. Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Raincliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
And Mr. Dunn.
Yes. Now I'd like to move item 10 is recommended that the board approves a transfer of funds from the purchase of services account to a stipend account in the amount of $24,190 for the 2016 NCLB Title I grant due to the services the staff paid the stipend. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
Mr. Raincliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh. And Mr. Miller.
Yes. Next item is item H, transportation. John?
Yes. Item H, transportation, I'd like to move number 1, number 2, and number 3. Number 1 being that it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following proposed contracts for the trips for the 2015-2016 school year between including the Camp Bus Service, Davis Bus Service, and Stockbridge Bus Company. Number 2 is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following joint transportation agreements for the 2015-2016 school year. Items, host High Point Regional High School, joiner Morristown Board of Ed. Second one, host High Point High School, joiner of Plainfield Public School District. Third, High Point Regional High School is a host, joiner of the state of New Jersey. Next, host High Point Regional High School as a host, and joiner Walkill Valley Regional High School. And the last, host High Point Regional High School and joiner Sussex County Regional Cooperative. Second. And hold on, item 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the following quoted contract for transportation of special needs students for the 2015-2016 school year. They include virtual transportation for 2 items and VW parking signs for 1 item. Any discussion?
Roll call.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Voight-Pugh.
Yes.
Mr. Raincliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Rowland.
Yes.
Mr. Danner.
Yes.
And Mr. Miller.
Yes. Okay, next I'd like to move to correspondence. I don't think we have any for us this evening. The next agenda item is miscellaneous. The High Point Theater is proud to present Singing in the Rain on Friday and Saturday, March 18th and 19th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, March 20th at 2 p.m. Please email Teresa Riccardi with your ticket request, as all seating is reserved. 2 complimentary tickets are offered to the Board of Education members. Additional ticket prices are $12 for adults, $10 for students. senior citizens and children. Senior citizens are free on Sunday, March 20th for the 2 p.m. showing. Okay, next I'd like to move to, next agenda item is public comments. If you're voting, state your name and address, please.
Bill Genner, Gemma Road, Wantage. First of all, I'd like to correct Mr. Whitley. It is not a reduction of $56,000 in the local tax levy. It is an increase of $138,000. Actually, $138,108. It's very nicely forgetting the debt service is paid off by the taxpayers last year. There is a zero debt service this year. He's leaving that out of his statement. He's trying to hide his $138,000 increase in the fact that we're not paying $195 for debt service this year. And I'll get back on my prepared statements. Read an article in the newspaper about an attorney, supposedly an attorney, who refused to give his name or gave an incorrect name and an incorrect law firm. If this is true, there should only be one word for that alleged gentleman, and that's gone. If you can't trust him to give his own name and law firm, you can't trust him to do anything to this board or for us taxpayers. Are any of you familiar with the rules of professional conduct? RPC 4.1, truthfulness in statement to others. Representing a client, a lawyer shall not knowingly make a false statement of material fact or law to a third person. Is his name and his law firm a material fact? He should never represent his board again. We fault the Hprhs for not printing correct information at times. They can't print correct information if an attorney lies to them. This board should never accept that from anyone. I recently obtained from the state the allocation of taxes for this coming school year. High Point's 2016-17 allocation table obviously does not include Montague students. They're tuition paying, they're not tax paying. They don't have representation on this board. So if their students come here, they won't have representation. And they obviously don't have. This year the numbers are all over the place as far as student attendance, or number of students. In October 2015, High Point was down another 35 students to 940 students. That's a total loss of 461 students, or 32.91%. Basically, you've lost a third of the student population. You folks didn't do it. It's people are moving out of the area, they're not having children. The sending districts are down another 118 elementary students, for a total loss of 1,054, or 36.5% of their students. So you're continuing down, folks. If your sending districts are losing more students than you, you're going down further. Based on this, is High Point going down possible student enrollment of less than 890 students? In the 5 years from October 2010 to October 2015, High Point is down 207 students, or 18.05%. What cuts have you made in the administrative staff? What cuts have you made in the teaching staff? You're down almost 20% of your students in 5 years. Concerning your proposed budget, I didn't know it was on the agenda tonight, or I would have spoken before on this. And the taxes, First, I have to make a disclaimer. Not all the numbers required to calculate the taxes have been published yet. The equalization table from the county doesn't come out until March, sometime in March. The one number on here, I need to make the final calculation. Second, as I previously mentioned, the debt service. Mr. Ripley is trying to hide that. You're down $195,000. That's money in our pockets. That's our money. Don't steal it from us. We voted down your proposals years back so that that would get paid off. Wantage taxpayers could forget about seeing any reduction. If you keep your zero increase in your local tax levy, the average wantage taxpayer will see about a $115 increase. That's if you keep it level. You're going up close to 1%. I didn't calculate that. I calculated 2%. The other 4 sending districts are going to see reductions in their budgets because of the shift in the students. Wantage is down 118 grammar school students, up to 2 high school. Sussex Borough went up 30 grammar school students. So the numbers shifted all over the place this year. Zero increase. Bradshaw's go down $145. Frankfurt goes down to 85. Lafayette goes down 225. Sussex Borough goes down 67. Wantage goes up 115. It's all over the place. Wantage is getting killed. With the 207 students, 18% reduction in just 5 years, I'm recommending that you reduce the 2016-17 local tax levy to $15 million even or less. You're losing students. Don't increase your budget. Cut your spending. Even with a $15 million local tax levy, the average wantage taxpayer will still see an $81 increase. We can't afford it, folks. Stop living high on the hog and start running an efficient school. Thank you.
Jennifer Lennox-Montague. If I could get clarification again as to how you adjourned the special meeting that you last held. You're saying you came out in public, closed executive session, opened regular session, and then adjourned it in public?
No, ma'am. In executive session, they come out of executive session and then went into public session.
Where did you go into? You knew you had Montague people that you had told to come sit over here. Where did you, I don't understand where you were over in the boardroom. I know you joked around from what I understand. Oh, should we make an announcement over the loudspeaker and let them know? You really need to do a better job of following the law.
Harry Dunleavy, 16 Price Road, Augusta. And I have prepared what I wanted to say, but I want to make some mentions. I agree with Mr. Gettner, the first comment he made. I think Dr. Ripley should have gone. And I think the board, the way they're acting, it would be nice if they all retired. So I'll read my comment, the reason I came here, and I may make a comment at the end about Montague, which will not offend anybody, I don't think. And what I prepared here, some of it might sound insulting, some of it might sound ostentatious. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. Okay, The New Jersey Herald deserves credit for enunciating on the myriad of improprieties at High Point Regional High School, period. Instead of being at the apex, the school board is dancing to the music of the superintendent, who appears to feel that he is above the law. As elucidated in the Herald, the board president doesn't even know how to conduct a meeting. The result is nepotism, cronyism, and non-palatable actions, period. This is a cause for anxiety as a taxpayer, and I have reason to believe that I pay more taxes than the superintendent. And I know my next comment may sound ostentatious. In 2008, I paid almost $600,000 in taxes. I have been a school board vice president and president. I am a licensed mathematics and Spanish teacher in New York and New Jersey. I hold standard certificates, not the junk type acquired under the alternate route system. Additionally, I have taught mathematics at high school and college level with evaluations close to excellent. I have personally perused my application file at High Point High School office and found nothing adverse. The superintendent, the past and present board presidents have refused to give a reason as to why I should not be placed on the substitute list. By their own admission, none of the substitutes have either mathematics or a Spanish background. Should any mathematics teacher be out for a few days or a protracted period of time, none of the substitutes would be of assistance. Neither can the superintendent, to whom mathematics is a fairy tale. He doesn't even know basic quadrilaterals, which are usually taught in 7th or 8th grade. Yet, at a previous public meeting, he had the audacity to state how interested he is in the education of children. Personally, I can't figure out why Dr. Ripley hates me so much without any reason. Information acquired in a call to the EEOC agency indicated that Mr. Ripley, Dr. Ripley, had stated in the sworn affidavit that, listen to the next thing, someone told him that he would be crazy if he recommended me for employment. Both the EEOC and the superintendent, Dr. Ripley, have refused OPRA and FOIC requests to turn over the affidavit. Since I applied to be placed on the substitute list at High Point, because I have nothing else to do, I filed an application with 5 other districts. 4 placed me on their list and called me for work. The 5th district offered me a regular part-time assignment, which I declined, it being exterior to my area of expertise. If Dr. Ripley's opinion and the unknown person quoted were to be believed, there are at least 5 crazy superintendents in Sussex County, and Mr. Ripley is the one that knows everything. And just a word about Montague, since I don't have too much to do, if any of the parents at Montague would like some volunteer help, only with mathematics, I would be happy to go over there to the library at their school and assist anybody, and they don't have to pay me. Thank you for your time.
New Jersey. Mr. Cooney's is not here, but I have a question. You guys passed that resolution here, that addendum. There was wording on there that Montague passed on their resolution last night. It wasn't on this resolution. Does that mean we go back to the board and start all over again?
Sir, I'm just checking to make sure I'm allowed to speak. Yeah, the resolution passed last night by Montague approved the same terms as was passed by High Point and made an additional non-binding request. The High Point Board's resolution did not in any way adopt that or acknowledge that request in this resolution. My understanding is the special counsel for both boards, Mr. Hprhs for Montague and Mr. Durkin for High Point, are going to put together a settlement agreement that both boards will have to look at and be okay with, and then that will be submitted to the state. That settlement agreement as it stands now will not include the 6th and 7th graders that are currently attending Hprhs.
We'll go back to board again, right? Thank you.
John Mann, Chubby Lane. And some of the improprieties that you even heard tonight, and with everything that's happened, you have to admit there's a lot of wrongdoing, a lot of things that are happening that are not right. I'm going to once again say to you, you need to look at all the specifics of what happened in the last 3-4 years and make the right decision and let this go back to the Montague voters where it should have started out in the beginning. If this was all brought to the voters in a referendum, something of that nature, we would not be here today, but that did not happen. We are all taught, it is the voters, it is the taxpayers, the people that have to foot the bill that should have some kind of say. That did not happen here. Please look at the specifics. I appeal to you, this contract was ill-gotten, ill-perceived. Members of the previous board thought they were above the law. You just heard now that nobody is above the law. This contract needs to be turned back, turn the page back, let the kids go back to court. If the voters decide, well, we want to have a dual extender, that's not a bad thing. And I really have nothing to say bad about High Point High School as it is now. Some of these teachers were quite impressive tonight. However, with me as a taxpayer and citizen, and I raised 2 kids in Port Jervis, no problem, it's the logistics that are very bad. Having these kids get up at 5:30, having such a long day. And if the parents want to go to Montague, wherever you want to do, since we have this wide range of choice material, okay, so be it. But that contract was signed was not right, was not legal, it was a stab in the back to the Montague voters and taxpayers, and I urge you guys to send it back for a referendum to Montague. Thank you.
Any public comments?
Barbara will see as I said before, the people of Montague were never consulted by the boards of education of Montague from 1955 to 2000. There was not a referendum in 2000 to ask whether or not that contract was currently in place in a transitional phase out of Port Jervis. So the contention that the voters of Montague needed to decide this is an ill-begotten contention. We stood up here tonight, many of us, who came to show our support for High Point. We came to try to show that we were also willing to accept this proposal, which both boards have agreed to. It will be, it's been agreed to by Montague, and it's been agreed to by High Point. It's going to go to the state. You can't do a dual send receive because the state of New Jersey has said that can't be done. The arguing really needs to stop. Several people made apologies tonight that were very heartfelt. Our people that have supported High Point have also decided to try to just accept the fact that this proposal meets the best of the majority of students, look beyond the fact of our personal opinions about students going into Port Jervis, and accept that this agreement can go forward, allowing some students to continue, the ones that are there, meeting those needs, and then move forward. Move forward with the K-12 in New Jersey, move forward with the K-8 in Montague that will start next year, and then there will be a seamless transition from Montague to High Point. The students who are currently choosing choice This year's 7th grade at Montague is the first 7th grade at Montague. Only I believe three students left. Somebody just said 5. Okay, there's 3 in Port, and then there was 2 siblings that went to a choice school. Because Montague's families the Port families are not the only families that have been split up. Montague families have been split up for over 20 years. This is one of the reasons why our board took the steps when the fiscal need became so apparent to recognize that we have 50% of our kids in New Jersey. We needed to start looking fiscally how this was affecting our district. So again, to come back to, we need to just all realize that some people have gotten, both sides have gotten a little bit of what they wanted. Kids get to stay in court that want to be there, that are there. Contract continues to bring back taxation for representation for our tax dollars staying in New Jersey. And it's a win on both sides in my view. And I wish, and I pray, that the hatred that has still been displayed here tonight will somehow resolve itself as time goes by, as time is the healer of all wounds. Thank you.
Jennifer Lennox again. I appreciate what Barbara just said about, that people apologize tonight. And one of the Port Jervis students back there says to me, no one apologized to us. So hypocritical, double standard, I don't know what you want to call it. But as a board, does it bother you that there's a Montague parent that comes to all your meetings, commends how wonderful your school is wonderful, everything is great, and yet she sends her own child to Kittatinny because she wants continuing education, things like that. I looked on the minutes for Kittatinny, and I don't see anywhere during public comment where that parent goes to the school board meetings where her child attends and talks about how wonderful that school is. And yet she comes here. Do we not find that hypocritical? How about you listen to those of us who actually have families involved in the middle of this, and not those who have chosen to send their kids elsewhere other than High Point? Thank you.
Montague. I want to apologize because not the last one, the meeting before, I was upset. I was mad. So I said things that I probably shouldn't have said, but that's because it was all directed toward me. I never did anything to any of you, ever. And I'm going to apologize to Barbara Holstein for what I said, because I was upset. And I was upset to find out who ran something, and, I never got an apology from her for what she did to me. She directed it right at me, And I'm sorry to you, because I was upset, and you get upset when you're mad, And I just think that this whole thing is out of hand. It is out of hand. Friendships are being lost. All of it, it's all split, you know what I mean? And it's out of hand. I just think you guys should just end all this. If you have it in your hands to make the decision, you need to end it so that this doesn't continue happening. Because we feel like we're being bullied, they feel like they're being bullied, and some of the things that are being said, it is out of hand. Calling a town a toilet or a school a toilet, saying there's only so many kids in a school. You know what I mean? People, regardless of where you live, the kids are always going to be split. But don't split the families. Because, kids go to Kittatinny, that's great. That's wonderful. Kids want to go here, that's wonderful. And my daughter, my 6th grader, she goes to charter. I signed her up, got her right in. And the reason I did that is because I can't take a chance of the 7th grade getting kicked out at Montague. I can't take the chance of her not being able to go to Port. You know what I mean? So I had to take things into my hands for my kid's future. you know? So I just hope you guys do the right thing. And make this right. End it. So no more friendships are lost. You know, that's all I want to say.
Any more public comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll close that and move on to non-committee board members' reports and comments. I just have two quick ones to read. One, we're going to have a special meeting on Monday, the 21st, for the purpose of having Robin Meehan of the NJSBA conduct an ethics workshop here at 6:30 in the board office conference room. And the second item I'd like to bring out is we also need to reschedule our April 19th regular meeting to Tuesday, April 26th at 7 p.m. for our public hearing on the budget. Does anybody else have any non-committee board reports or comments? No? Okay. Move on now to executive session. A motion will be made that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education will enter into executive session to reconvene at the board office to discuss legal matters regarding Montague and civil lawsuits, which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Any discussions held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public when appropriate. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until meetings of confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public section in the Board of Education office at the conclusion of the executive session. Action may be taken. We should be in public executive session for approximately half an hour. Have a motion? Motion. Second.
Coming back after executive session.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Just to be clear, when we're going to come back into open, there will be not coming back to this room. Although the statement did say action may be taken, there's nothing on the agenda to be voted on after executive session.
Where is the old public meeting?
The board will adjourn at the board office.
No, I'm small.